Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. The United States and Israel have launched major strikes on Iran, with President Donald Trump stating that major combat operations are underway. Tehran has retaliated with missile fire, raising fears of a wider regional war and a direct confrontation, reshaping Middle Eastern security. What are the strategic objectives of this attack and how likely are they to be achieved? Well, to explore those questions, we're joined by Silvia Boltuc, Managing Director at SpecialEurasia. Silvia, welcome to TVP World. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Right, so Prime Minister Netanyahu suggesting that many sources are indicating that Ali Khamenei, the Ayatollah, has been killed in the attack. Assuming that's true, there's a very explosive situation in Iran, isn't it?
Yes, of course. In this case, the Supreme National Security Council will take control of the republic, and there will be internal instability because the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is not only a political figure of the country but also a religious one. He is the supreme leader, the supreme guide of the Shia community inside the country.
Yes, but he is also the architect of the oppression that the people have been suffering for many decades. Now, the United States, Israel must have spent many weeks planning this operation, at the very least. Do you believe that they would have planned on decapitating the government, the leadership, without planning for someone to step in?
Yes, actually, it is my idea that there might be also another scenario. I would say like Venezuela, what happened in Venezuela, and it will be to decapitate the leader of the Islamic Republic, the more conservative one, and maybe replace them with someone which is still part of the government but has still a pro-Western position. Indeed, we saw in recent time that inside the country, the leader of the broader coalition reformist group inside the country was arrested together with other exponents of these reformist parties, and therefore there might be a chance that Trump is seeking actually to maintain a certain stability in this evolution of the internal politics in the country by maintaining some people which are already in the parliament but which are more open to the West.
Understood, but the Revolutionary Guard isn't going to take this lying down, are they? Extremely powerful and wealthy. How are they likely to respond?
Well, actually, I think that in this moment, Iran is absorbing the attack coming from Israel and the US. He's retaliating, but not in the power that he can retaliate in the most way. He can hit these countries, not only the regional allies, but also Israel. I think he's putting pressure on its neighbor in order to see if they can put pressure on the US administration to reach a ceasefire. Therefore, it was also made an appeal to the United Nations, and I think they are waiting to see what will happen because they know very well that Trump wanted a very quick win. Also because the internal audience in the US was not so compact in supporting this kind of military intervention towards Iran. Therefore, I think that they are buying time. Of course, the Revolutionary Guard are very powerful. They have a rich missile stockpile. They're trying not to degrade the long-range missile stockpile, but they're using that the medium range to reach the neighboring countries. And they have also some tactics in case the leader of the chain command will be decapitated. They have a way also to be resilient, and there is a decentralized chain of command in order of the defensive machine to move forward, even if there are no leadership anymore.
Well, that sounds like quite a precarious situation. If we're thinking about at some stage in the near future, achieving stability in Iran. What about the proxy groups that Iran has been funding and supporting over the years, so the Houthis in Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and others? How do you think they will respond?
Well, according to their declaration, the groups in Iraq, they are awaiting for a signal coming from Tehran, as I already told, and as confirmed by the words of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Araghchi. They are waiting. They are not bringing the confrontation to a full escalation, to a full war. They are just testing the situation right now, and therefore I think they are asking these groups to wait. The same can be said for the Houthis. They are already made statements that they will join this fight, but I think that in this early stage they are still waiting for a signal coming from Tehran.
Understood. Now, you see, here's the risk, of course, that if the proxy groups get involved, we're talking about this war extending across the Middle East. What do you think the Arab countries' response is likely to be?
Well, they have already condemned the attack, the Iranian attack, of course, also the Israeli and the US attack towards Iran, and the attack by Iran towards the US bases in the Gulf countries. They express concerns, of course. They have also economic interest in the region. And it's not only a matter of national defense, but it's also a matter of regional interest. If the entire region will be destabilized, it is a huge problem for the economies of these countries, which heavily rely on the Strait of Hormuz for their export, particularly of oil and gas, also coming towards Europe. And some of them have suggested that they might reply to this attack in some ways, although at this stage it is highly unlikely. And of course, they might. It depends how the confrontation will escalate. They are going probably also to put pressure to the U.S. administration, which is a Gulf ally, and ask for a ceasefire, because no one in the region, also Iran, actually, it's not in their interest to have this war right now.
No, understood. But, I mean, that sounds like mixed messages. Countries around the world, including the Arab countries in the Middle East, and, of course, countries like France and the United Kingdom, have all said that it's absolutely impossible to conceive Iran having nuclear weaponry. On the other hand, they're asking the US to stop the war. Now, clearly, for decades, it's been very clear that Iran is unwilling to negotiate any kind of stopping of their program. So the US and Israel didn't have a choice, did they?
Yeah, actually, this is quite controversial. I mean, negotiations were reaching a good point, according to the Omani foreign minister, and Oman usually is a very balanced country in the Gulf, which certainly doesn't serve the Iranian interest. And the Omani foreign minister yesterday declared that Iran has made a huge step by agreeing to stop the stockpiling of enriched uranium, and they also agreed to inspection coming from the International Energy Atomic Agency inside the facilities, because Iran has a huge problem with internal demand of energy, and they need nuclear energy for civilian domestic use. Of course, on the other side, when we talk about controversial statement coming from the Arab country in the Gulf particularly, this is because, of course, the US are far away. Israel is, part of the Middle East, but still not a neighboring country, although the missiles coming from Iran can reach Israel as proved during the 12-day wars. But the neighboring country are the most exposed. They are the front line on this confrontation. And since they host the US military bases and they are ally, and they sometimes even offer their airspace in order to attack Iran, of course, they will be attacked. We saw also many years ago, before this 12-day war and today's today's attack, that Iran was able also to reach, for example, oil facilities from Saudi Arabia. So they are really afraid of Iran. Of course, they would like to see the Islamic Republic collapse, but they are more afraid, I think, of the consequences if the US and Israel will continue attacking Iran, because Iran is well aware of the situation and is exploiting this fear to put pressure on this ally in order them to put pressure on the US.
Yes, I mean, Iran has made it very clear over the decades of negotiations that they are not to be trusted. They say one thing in negotiations and then refuse inspections and so on. We're getting reports that of confirmation of the death of Ali Khamenei, so we're waiting to hear more on that and see what happens next. So, in terms of just going back to Iran and how it might respond, the Straits of Hormuz, clearly a shipping route. How much at risk is that piece of sea, and what impact is it likely to have on international trade?
It's very important because 1/3 of the global oil and gas export passes through this strait, and the Iranian government is well aware of this strategic passage. Indeed, in order to be able to block the passage, but without hitting their own export, several years ago they built an infrastructure, a pipeline, in order to bring their oil and gas outside the passage and be able to export it, even in the case of a closure of the Strait of Hormuz. So they were very smart in this regard. And now we have the first confirmation that they are already closing the strait. We have some confirmation coming from the Navy of some Gulf countries that the strait is already closed. And this is really huge because in the aftermath of the Ukrainian crisis, many European countries are taking gas and oil from the Gulf, and therefore this disruption will have severe consequences on the market and made us more reliable, more dependent on the US export.
Understood. Now, very, very briefly, if you would, please, Silvia, what impact is this likely to have on Russia in terms of its ability to wage war against Ukraine? I'm thinking about the provision of Iranian drones, for example, to Russia. Is there going to be any effect on Russia's ability to fight Ukraine?
I don't think that the impact will be huge, for the simple reason that, according to some reports, the Iranian drones are being produced inside Russia right now. Therefore, the instability in the Gulf is not a primary issue regarding the Ukrainian conflict. And I will go even further. In order to help this regional ally, Russia and China has also provided some high-tech equipment like orbital surveillance and advanced missile guidance technology. And therefore, I think that will not be a major impact on Ukraine. On the other side, we can say that Russia will lose an important regional ally, also lose some investment, because Iran is one of the main important node of the North-South transport corridor, the Russian-led proposed corridor from north to south in Eurasia, since the northern way is not viable anymore because of sanctions. And it will sum up with also the fact that they have lost Syria with the fall of Assad, and they recently have lost Armenia with Pashinyan getting closer with the US administration, and even with the recent crisis with Azerbaijan. So I think that Russia has lost, in the aftermath of the Ukrainian crisis, several regional allies, and it's vital for the Islamic Republic, or at least from Iran, to have a government which is not completely pro-Western. Understood.
Silvia, unfortunately, we're going to have to end it there, but thank you very much indeed for sharing your analysis with our audience. Have a good evening.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Bye.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. Don't go away, lots more coming up. Goodbye.